Hello everyone, I was challenged by Inspire to Game to pick my top favourite themes, my 5 top favourite themes. So here they are in no particular order. While I do sort of lean from one to another, I do find the game itself matters most, but there's some themes that always get me a little bit interested in a game. Let's start off with the one that often seems to create the games that dominate the whole table, and that is in things like Twilight Imperium, or basically any sort of pick up and deliver game in space, because space is big, it's sprawling, and often I do find that is captured in games. Space gives you so many different options. First of all, you've got all of the different sort of aliens and planets and just weird space stuff. Look in wormholes at a pick-up delivery game where you are just linking so much of the board together. It makes sense because you go wormholes, and space allows you to do that. If you're doing a pick-up and delivery in a city, a town, why can you teleport from there to there for the same cost in movement as right next to you? It doesn't make sense. But space allows you to bend the rules, and I think some really cool games have come out of it. Not just pick up and deliver. Look at Twilight Imperium, the big space opera. Yeah, it probably would be awesome and cool if it was, you know, like Age of Empires style across. You could get away with the civilizations and stuff. But things such as tech trees and all that sort of stuff, they just fit with the space theme, and that's why I really like it. My second theme might get me a little bit of flack, and that's because I think Marvel games are brilliant. Marvel themed games at least. Now, not every single one. I don't need a Marvel Codenames. I don't need a Marvel version of, say, like On It Armor or something weird like that where it's just splattered on to sell the game. Yeah, alright, in some cases it still is. Look at Marvel Splendor. Yeah, it's got a couple of tweaks, but it's basically still Splendor. But I do really like it when sort of characters that we know and love from the films, I haven't read the comics, but the films, or the TV series, or whatever, they're brought to life in different games. One of them being, my favourite games being Unmatched, and I just love all of the majority of the Marvel characters in that. And they're exciting. They're also really good for introducing a game, such as Unmatched, to a new person, because sometimes, yeah, Bigfoot versus Robin Hood, that's fun. But what about Black Panther versus Moon Knight? Or something like that. But I just think sometimes it can create, in that game, matchups that just sound cooler than if they were generic or based off something that wasn't Marvel. It gets me excited to play a game, and I think sometimes it just helps getting a game to the table. And that's why the Marvel theming, well, sometimes it's pasted on, but it's also a really top theme too. The third theme that I really do enjoy is alternate world history, that style of thing. And what I mean by that, and I'll give you 2 brilliant examples and talk through them, is Scythe and Mind Management. 2 worlds that are kind of based on ours or our history, and they're just tweaked and twacked into being slightly different and something slightly unusual. Now, this kind of opens up the doors the same way as space does, in terms of you've got a basic premise of you know how the world works, but something's a little bit different. Look in Scythe, the World War in 1920s sort of went a bit different, and maybe that sort of spiralled on. Those mechs that were used in World War I, they're not used for war anymore because that's ended, but they're still about. That's a pretty cool and alternate attempt at history, and that sort of Cold War-y vibe that it gives off in Scythe, it's that alternate world, and you can see, like, this is how the world could have gone, and I like that. Again, it opens the doors up to go, this is what you're used to, but we're going to tweak it a little bit. Same with Mind Management. You've got that sort of spy, hidden person, one against all? Is it the big company mind management them against the world? In this sort of weird, slightly dystopian, slightly just maybe slightly screwed up looking world. And it's certainly in both of those, the art style really brings those alternate worlds to life in very different ways, but very nice ways. One's quite a busy style of mind management, one's just a really clean, it's clean in terms of the art style of really stunning looking things, but then there's that sort of grime and broken downness of a mech or some sort of farmer people that aren't doing so well despite there being these massive mech machines and clearly a bit of wealth in the world of Scythe. And like I said, with Scythe, with mind management, it's just the way they've tweaked the worlds to be something that you can kind of almost imagine. It's not quite fantasy because it's based in the real world, but it's just tweaked it enough to make it really interesting. So that's another cool theme. What's not to love about animals? Whether you are building a park like full of bears in Barren Park, or a whole zoo in Ark Nova, or even in certain games that maybe I've not enjoyed too much, like let's say New York Zoo. The animal theme got me interested in that. Tekken-Oko, the panda eating the bamboo, that gets you interested in it. Camel Up, it's a race, yeah, but with these camels stacking, it's totally unrealistic, but still, it's the animals. That couldn't come across as fun if it was stacking cars, but stacking camels just gives it that quirky, extra funness. So animals can be used in multiple ways for that funness, to make things a little bit extra silly and you not have to take them as serious, or they can be used in like Ark Nova to be like you're building a zoo. It makes sense. You've got to put the right sized animal in the right sized enclosure. Sometimes a theme helps a game make sense, and Ark Nova does that really well with those animals in that zoo, and you're trying to make your zoo better by getting these animals, but you could sometimes release them into the wild for the conservation efforts that zoos do. There's many angles that therefore animals can be used for, whether it's bringing funness and just a little extra difference, like in Ice Cool, or something a little bit more serious when you're talking gameplay mechanics of Ark Nova. It just sometimes makes them fun to look at, fun meeples. And that's what I want from a theme sometimes. It's not necessarily, it has to be something crazy, or like some of the other ones on the list that I've said about, open up so many opportunities for people to think and make stuff up. But sometimes just being fun or helping a game make some more sense via that theme, that is a win for me. So therefore, animals are a win for me. And while I said I wouldn't have a number one theme, the number one theme that I would always choose is something a bit different. We've had many animal games, Wingspan, Ice Cool, whatever. We've had many space games, Eclipse, Twilight Imperium, whatever. We've had so many different games built on a city, which, city building's pretty damn awesome. But something that's going to use a theme to stand out, I think that's pretty cool, and it deserves some recognition. When someone goes above and beyond, not to shoehorn in an IP, don't get me wrong, I love the fact that sometimes, let's say, the cartographers games like Roleplay or whatever, they're all in that kind of universe. If you're doing something for D&D, you're doing making the character, you're drawing the map, or the new one, you're creating a dungeon. That one looks quite cool. It's being like kickstarted, right? That's cool that they're taking clearly a game that's been made or designed and putting it into that theme. But sometimes when someone just goes for that something that's a bit different, that makes you go, ooh. Whether that is like in Iki, where you are travelling round a market in Japan, A market in Japan doesn't sound like it could be interesting, but it makes a really cool game come to life in that one. Or maybe it's the dragon idea in Suro, which doesn't really have much of a theme, but you are these pebbles travelling along a line. It doesn't need much, but sometimes just something a bit different helps it stand out. Imagine if Suro had just been buses moving along a road. It wouldn't look as cool or just feel as different. Would I still play Point Salad if, well, first of all, the name wouldn't make as much sense if it wasn't veg and salad related, but would it be as fun if it's a city? Well, Point City is coming out soon, so we'll find out. But that makes it stand out. It might not necessarily be the grabbiest theme in terms of you see it on the shelf, and I don't think many people go, "Ooh, salad, let's play Point Salad." I don't think that game actually, the theme helps it that much, but it's different. Yes, I'd like to sort of own the Pokemon version that's available, even though that's a much more sort of plastered on theme and not as unique. But still, the uniqueness of the theme should be applauded. But anyway, what is your number one theme, or what theme for my number one pick stands out most to you that's not done by anything else? What game has really captured your imagination and that's just been that bit different? Is it Fog of Love? How many games about couples there are? Let me know in the comments section below, and well, if you want to take part in this list, give it a go as well and tell us what your top 5 themes are. Until next time, have a great day gaming.